We're going to be looking more at these ancient orgasmic secrets, and this is the third day. And we're going to be really looking at like, what is these sexual orgasmic secrets about? And I kind of got a PowerPoint. I might go off a little bit. I want us to do some practices together and meditations with the sexual energy. So I take it that none of you just felt really confused about why I was talking about emotions yesterday. We're going to go a little bit into that today. Where are we? Okay. What's this? Sorry. That was yesterday. Let me find the correct PowerPoint. Here we go. Okay. I really want to go into orgasms, and I noticed that somebody actually blocked me on Instagram because I was talking about how important I feel that orgasms is, okay? And people will get confused about me saying that for different reasons. One of the reasons people might get confused is, hang on, aren't we not supposed to be having orgasms, right? You know, this is ejaculation. So ejaculation is different from orgasm. And by the way, did anybody here not receive my multi-orgasmic cookbook? Because that's a really important it's a really important like supplement to this workshop, okay, as well as the masterclass I have about the vagus nerve and orgasms. If anyone has not received that, definitely like get in touch with me to ask about that, because, you know, just to give a little bit of my story, I started off and got into this stuff because I was never having orgasms. You know, maybe I'd had like one or two, but I basically was never having orgasms, and I had so many different problems. Oh, hang on, let's hide the secret for now. I had so many different health problems, and, you know, lower back pain is classic blocked sexual energy, actually, you know, anxiety, insomnia, depression, you know, and I was given labels, chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, and, you know, God knows what. And basically, you know, it all came down to the fact that I had this blocked sexual energy, you know. I mean, whatever was the story behind that, I think we can never really know the story, because it can have so many different aspects to it. And what happens is the same trauma will keep repeating and repeating and repeating in our lives until we actually do the work to normalize the energy. Hey, you. That's a dog, by the way. So, secret 3. Orgasmic energy is the most powerful form of spiritual energy, but it may not be what you think it is. So I'm just curious, if you see that comment and you this makes total sense to you, give me a 6 in the chat, because I'm really curious, because some people will say like, what are you talking about? I'm just curious. If it does not make sense to you, give me, if it does not make sense to you, give me a 5, okay? I'm really curious, and I'd like to see 14 numbers there, because either it makes sense or it doesn't. Yeah, cool. It does not make sense to some people. That's fair enough. Okay. Guys, if by the end of this class it still doesn't make sense to you, I want you to come to me, and I'll even give you a private coaching session if you don't understand how that it makes sense, because I hope I'm going to get that message across to you. If not, I feel I'll have failed in my purpose, right? So superfood for body and soul. And this is actually what the Taoists, the ancient Taoists, and this is a culture that's thousands and thousands of years old. So legend has it that this stuff was all written down 4,500 years ago by this guy that's called the Yellow Emperor. And in fact, the book he wrote, which is called The Yellow Emperor's Classic of Chinese Medicine, or the Ling Shu, is the classic of acupuncture and Chinese medicine today. Hang on a sec, let me put the heater on. Yeah, so to this day, this book is profoundly important to Chinese medicine. And in fact, I remember a while ago, like earlier this year, I was having an acupuncture session with my usual acupuncturist. And I remember him saying, oh, I had heated energy in my heart. And I said, oh, so I need to go make the sound, oh. And you guys who were here yesterday, you'll know what I mean about making certain sounds. And he's like, yeah, it's from the Ling Shu. And I didn't know it was actually from the Ling Shu, from the Yellow Emperor's classic of Chinese medicine. But basically, this emperor who apparently he ruled apparently for 300 years. So some people say he wasn't real. I think, who knows? Yeah, some of the guys in the Bible lived for like 900 years. And, who knows, right? That maybe ancient people did live a lot longer than we do, which I personally believe is possible. And that when we actually learn how to take the orgasmic energy into the cells and rejuvenate the body, that we can actually reverse aging. Okay. This is a whole branch of Taoism about immortality and so on. It's really fascinating, really, really interesting. In day one, I talked quite a bit about this for people who wasn't here in day one. Okay. Yeah. So this powerful energy, it creates life. It's what created us. It's the creator energy. And once it's created, we tend to try to forget about it and pretend that it's superfluous. And this is just because we don't understand it. Now, the Yellow Emperor had 3,000 wives and concubines and mistresses and so on, who all lived in this big palace with him. And it wasn't that uncommon back in the days that men might have hundreds, if not thousands, of women to have sex with, right? And I don't know if you guys know about that rat experiment where the rat has sex with all these different rats till it dies, right? And you forget the name of it. Does anyone know the name, what I'm talking about? That they got this rat and put it with one female, and it had sex with the one female, and then it slept, and then it was fine. But they gave it a lot of different females. And they talk about this to do with like porn and porn addiction and so on. And apparently this is how porn works on the brain. I can't remember the experiment, but it's an actual thing. So apparently one of the Chinese emperors actually died from excessive ejaculation, because that was actually the problem. It's not the sex, it's the problem, it's the ejaculation, and you can even put into Google died by masturbation, and there's some people that have actually literally jerked off like 40 times in a row and had a heart attack, right? Which is what the Taoists said could happen if you lost too much of your semen or too much of your sexual energy. So what the Yellow Emperor did was he knew there was all this folklore and folk knowledge regarding health, regarding sexology and so on. And he decided he wanted to write it all down. So he got these 3 women, and he got these women to teach him about all this different kind of knowledge about energy, about sexuality. And he got them to teach him these practice of how to have sex and not ejaculate. Okay. Now, I'm not saying people can't ejaculate, but when you can have sex and not ejaculate, and you really know how to transmute and transform the energy, it's actually a pretty incredible experience. But I think for most people, you have to feel it in some way to believe it. So there's a whole science to orgasmic energy that goes way beyond what modern sexologists can imagine, even those who think they are so sex positive. Unless you look back at these ancient orgasmic secrets, you will not find the power of this energy, which goes way beyond amazing pleasure, orgasms, intimacy, connection, and love. So just so you can see, this is a Taoist image of 2 people making love, and their energy meridians are connecting, and the energy is transforming between the 2. So the main energy center in the woman is the sexual center. The main energy center in the man is the love center. And when one is making love together, these 2 energy centers like balancing out each other, and it's becoming like a battery that's kind of charging. So, okay, is this for everyone? Okay, anyone can do this, but it's not for everyone. This practice is extremely powerful, but it requires awareness and discipline to implement it into your life. And what I found, actually, I'm going to add there, is like it takes a sense of fun, and adventure, and maybe questioning, the values you've had in terms of beliefs around sexuality, and just being very open-minded about it. And it also requires for you to take responsibility for your own development and step into your power, because this is very much about like self-development, you know, learning to have multiple orgasms. And this is what Taoism is very famous for. And people think, oh, it's all about squeezing your perineum, but it's all about self-development. But this path of self-development is actually super fun. So you need as well to be determined about the results that you want. When people are wishy-washy, it's very hard to teach them. And you need to be able to follow instructions and implement and be serious about yourself. You know, and this stuff is very much for people who take themselves seriously and actually want to use orgasmic energy to upgrade into the ultimate version of themselves. And this is what it does. So if you're going to allow self-doubt and fear to self-sabotage you, it might not be the best thing to mess around with. And I think you guys all got introduced to me. Just to clarify, I'm a Universal Healing Tao instructor. I've trained with the Grandmaster Mantak Chia. You can see him here on the picture. I've also am a certified Tantra educator, but most of what we're talking about today is relating to Taoism and mostly to the teachers of Mantak Chia. And I do always put a disclaimer in these classes, like I think you're going to find in pretty much all of Master Chia's books. There is a disclaimer because these are really, really powerful energies. It's a super powerful system, but we're also tapping into an energy which is quite volatile. I mean, let's be honest, sexual energy can get people to do crazy things they don't even feel in control of. And that's why it's so important to learn to really, really work with energy, because when you learn to work with energy and master it, you don't get the same kind of side effects that's happened to literally thousands of people who try to learn it, for example, from YouTube videos without having like a proper teacher. So I say the practices are taught in a specific way, in a specific order. It's really, really important that you master each level before you move on to the next, even though in a sense, each step is simple, but each one builds upon each other. So I just warn to people, you know, if you do these practices, you know, it's like, and you do it properly, you know, it's like, imagine you've been building a house with like a hand tool and then you get a machine, you know, the difference. But obviously when someone gets a machine, like instead of a hand saw, they get an electric saw, but you need some training and you need to learn how to use it. And the more powerful the energy is, obviously, the more you need the assistance in learning. And I definitely had like some great teachers that helped me to get to where I am today. And I still continue to learn with people. And, you know, everything I'm covering here is based on the work I've developed and evolved with my clients. So obviously, let me know if you're interested to follow this path further. The system is complex, yet at the same time, when it's broken down step by step and you follow those steps, you know, it's something that anybody who wants the results can do it. And, you know, yeah, like I say here, the last paragraph, the benefits of embarking on this path are often felt in weeks of starting, and this includes healing from debilitating mental health conditions, so-called sex addiction. I don't really like that term, but it's a sexual blockage that it can get released very, very quickly. When the impact is felt on the physical and the sexual health, and because the work is holistic, its powerful effects are felt through every layer of life. So, you know, if you've ever heard of sex magic, sexual healing, a lot of people will experience sexual healing through this kind of practices, and really heals like actual illnesses in the body. And, you know, an example I give is that some of the CEOs I work with literally find benefits to their whole company within weeks of starting. So, oh yeah, just a couple of testimonials I've put in here. You know, one guy, he says, just to let you know, my Chinese medicine doctor said I have the pulse and health of a professional athlete, and I attribute most of that to your course. And I mean, I know you guys have probably seen my workout videos, and I love working out, but I'm not a professional athlete, but I have like a heart rate of a professional athlete, which I didn't before, but I think it's down to these practices as well. And this is another testimonial from a client of mine. So he just wanted to take a second to share some good news. It's been 3 days since our little chat. I've done the meditations in your masterclass you shared. Yesterday, I got a call for a long shot job and was offered a minimum salary of 60K per year. I took the initiative and asked to negotiate a higher salary, something I have never done. They said they would call back later that day. They didn't. So today I decided to take another risk after listening to the replay of your live on abundance. I called them up and they made me an offer of 62K a year. This is going to be the most amount of money I have ever made at any job in my entire life. It will solve all of my money troubles that I'm currently facing, get me out of debt, and help me move towards my dream of owning my own home and tree farm later in life. Bonus is I get to help homeless people struggling with addiction. Thank you so much, Jade, for taking a chance on me and sharing your work. So this was after he came to one of the challenges like this, and I gave him that masterclass on abundance. He was actually unemployed. He didn't have any job. He says, I want to be your client. I don't have any money. And I'm like, okay, right. Okay. But I thought, okay, I might as well give him the masterclass and see what he does with it. And sure enough, the guy is like now my client. And I think he was 3 months into the job and he got another pay rise of like $7,000 on top of what he'd already was getting already. But the really amazing thing is he absolutely loves and adores the job. It's exactly what he wants to be doing, working with homeless people struggling with addictions. And I put this here because I just love the way it shows, that when we start balancing out our emotional energies and our sexual energies, and we get this increase of confidence, we can just say an increase of confidence. I mean, there's many different levels of looking at it, and I had taught him here some specific exercises to attract abundance. The changes and switches it can happen in life. And he's definitely not the only person who's told me that he's had a big shift in the ability to attract abundance, not just financially, but like in terms of love and people around us, and things that just weren't quite in alignment just kind of like disappear off into the mist. And when we look at the body as an alchemical chamber, as I talked about in day one, we can actually see how everything in the outside world is really kind of connected in with what's going on in the internal world. Is very, very interesting. So, getting on to more intense orgasms now. It's human nature to want mind-blowing orgasms. So who here wants better orgasms? Give me like a 7 in the chat if you want more mind-blowing orgasms. And if you don't, I think you should just leave because I don't want to bore you, So it's human nature to want mind-blowing orgasms, right? And this is often derided as dirty or superficial, but truth is that this desire comes from the depths of our soul. And I mean, it's crazy the lengths people go to get mind-blowing orgasms, including raping people, cheating on people, destroying their lives, sticking gerbils up their asses. If you guys haven't seen the documentary 101 Embarrassing Sexual Accidents on YouTube, I mean, my God, yeah, I recommend to watch it. It's unbelievable. One guy stuck his dick in a Hoover and got it partly cut off. Another guy was in a public swimming pool. He stuck his dick in the water vent and got stuck, and it took the emergency services like 11 hours to get him. And you just think, man, these guys, like if they knew about sexual energy, none of this would be happening. It's crazy. But it's not dirty, it's just that people don't know what to do with it. So it gets expressed in funny ways because there's so much suppression of it. And then it's trying to come out in this unconscious way. So it's often derided as dirty or superficial, but truth is that the desire comes from the depths of our soul. Orgasm is a spiritual experience that brings us back to the very divine source energy that created us, back to our true self and away from ego. And the French, they call it the little death, the orgasm, and it is like this ego death. Well, it can also be a loss of energy in a way that's not good, but not every ejaculation will cause like a huge loss of energy. At least the ejaculation in men, which the Taoists say isn't so great, whereas the ejaculation in women is really important. Interesting, right? So it's a burst of magic in what is becoming an increasingly mundane, boring, and unmagical world. And I was just talking to some of my lady clients about this, about the way, so many men are being scared of like expressing their masculinity, and how boring this is actually making the world for women, that all these amazing, really cool, nice guys are really like trying to repress their sexual energy. Or there's guys with the sexual energies just coming out in kind of really weird, repulsive kind of ways, which is because it's amplifying a load of emotional energies that we as women are very, very sensitive to feel. But it's almost like we're supposed to be becoming these little woke, politically correct cardboard cutouts. Not that I have any problem with what woke originally was meant to be, but it's all kind of gone down this political correctness gone mad that's just taken all the magicalness out of the world. So of course people want to reconnect back with what is essentially magic, which is the feelings of sexual energy. So let's look at tension versus relaxation orgasms. By the way, is anybody stuck here right now? Is anybody wondering, any big questions coming up? Guys are very, very welcome to stick them in the chat, to send me a direct message if you don't want everybody to see you ask these questions. Love, yeah, okay, we're actually going to do a meditation because love and orgasmic energy are really two really, really powerful energies. That we say in Taoist sexology that a healthy sexuality is 50% love and 50% orgasm. So let's look at what is a tension versus a relaxation orgasm. And I'm really curious, does anybody know what this is? If you know what it is, can you give me like a 9 in the chat if you know what is a tension orgasm? What is a relaxation orgasm? I'm just curious how many people actually know this. How much detail do I need to go into to explain this? 2 people are saying they know. Okay, listen, while I'm talking, if anything's unclear, just type in the chat, and I'm going to stop in a moment again to just check if I can help anybody out with any answers. So, okay, if you're not completely sure, that's cool. If you're not completely sure in, let's say, 15 minutes, ask me again, okay? So what is a tension orgasm or a relaxation orgasm? So if you heard of long tantric nights of endless lovemaking and multiple orgasms and ever wondered how, that is probably because you've accepted the Western sexual norm of tension release orgasms as an orgasm. So how people talk about the SAD, standard American diet, and I kind of call this standard American sex, SAS, because it's like, it's almost so comical and ridiculous when you really, I just find most porn just comical and ridiculous, personally. So tension orgasms, the type of orgasm that is popular in Hollywood, because we see it in Hollywood movies, we see it on Netflix. It's not just in porn, but it is in porn as well, are an orgasm that occurs in the very external and lower genitals. They are activated by the pudendal nerve and tension, which means that they push orgasmic energy out of your body. And that is why you only get one. So if you remember the first lesson we have the sexual energy starting in the perineum. Okay, and then it rises through the 3 energy centers in the belly, in the heart, and in the center of the brain. So when we've been grown up and we've indoctrinated to feel ashamed of sexuality, which basically everybody is, that shame forms a tension around just above the pubic bone, essentially, and it kind of leads to all these like lumps and bumps in that area. It blocks the sexual energy. It can cause premature ejaculation and not a lot of need to ejaculate, so-called porn addiction, so-called sex addiction. It can also cause anorgasmia, shutdown of sexual energy. So either the sexual energy will become really volatile as it's trying to push the block, or it's just going to give up and just go like, So relaxation orgasms are when the waves of energy travel up your body and into your meridians and cells. And this is what tantric sex is all about. So the reason we were talking a lot about emotions yesterday is actually because what happens is when we have all these blocked, repressed emotions in the body, and by the way, it seems to be that culturally, sexual repression and emotional repression go hand in hand. And when we've got all these blocked emotions in the body, it stops the sexual energy from moving, and it keeps it all stuck down in the lower part of the body, meaning that we can't have these orgasmic states and full body orgasms and so on. So relaxation orgasms are when the waves of energy travel up your body and into your meridians and cells. And this is what tantric sex is all about. So in Tantra, they would say when you get into this state of being, the energy floods through your body and you have this Kundalini awakening, that you can actually become enlightened. You know, the Taoists would kind of say you go in this state and the body rejuvenates at the cellular level. So let's have a little look into relaxation orgasms. Relaxation orgasms are all about slow, but slow and mastery when it comes to sexual energy can be easier said than done. This is because most people have a lack of connection and knowledge of the nature of their sexual energy and spend most of their time repressing it rather than getting to know them. But of course, nobody knows any other way. So it's nobody's fault the way people are. And the consequences of not being in touch with your sexual energy can be pretty dire, you know. But people don't know any better. So what are they supposed to do? You know, nobody's handing out a handbook of how do you deal with your sexual energy. So repressed emotions make sexual energy extremely volatile. I mean, it's volatile anyways, especially in men. Its nature is volatile, which is fine because we as women, when we are sexually empowered, we will balance out a man's volatile energy. And that's our purpose as priestesses and goddesses. You know, and if you look in some religions, I don't know if there's any Hindus here, but in Hinduism, for example, every woman is a goddess. Because we have these amazing, incredible powers. If there's any Hindus here, I'd love to hear your comment on what I just said. But yeah, so yeah, most people are being pulled into sexual experiences without awareness and consciousness, and a lot of people have sexual experiences they later regret. You know, even for example, there's a lot of people using porn and masturbating that will do it and then feel bad and shamed afterwards, which is partly because actually we've been indoctrinated with so much shame around sexuality that the arousal of the sexual energy, as I was talking about yesterday, it amplifies whatever we're feeling. So that's why people can have sex and then feel shame and bad feelings afterwards, because it's there amplifying. So sexual energy just takes over and takes mastery of the person, which is not what you want. And it's a bit like the Rottweiler example that I gave yesterday, which is like if someone, you know, drops this untrained Rottweiler in your house, you know, and it's growling at you and you're in the bedroom and you're trying to open the door and it's like, and you're just like, oh my God, yeah. And you want to go out and just get some water or something. And you're thinking about jumping out the window, you know, and that's how most people are with their emotions and their sexual energy to some extent. But if you turn around and you tame the Rottweiler, that Rottweiler will become your best friend who will be there to give you loyalty and serve you through your entire life. And that's what you want your emotions to be doing. And that's what you want your sexual energy to be doing. And that's what this is all about. Because as you would have seen in the week one, that sexual energy goes from the horny feeling up to feelings of vitality, up to feelings of love. And as it rises up into the middle of your brain, it actually then becomes like enlightenment consciousness energy. And this is just how we work, and we don't need any education, but unfortunately modern education teaches us to exactly be the opposite of this. So your autonomic nervous system, this is important to understand, because when I was talking here about relaxation orgasm and tension orgasm, the autonomic nervous system. Just out of curiosity, do I need to explain? Can you give me in the chat, please? Let's say an 8, if I need to explain about the autonomic nervous system in detail at all, or does people know what it is? Okay, right. I mean, it's a function we inherited from our ancestors that is designed to keep us safe in times of danger. So what it basically does is it regulates all the involuntary functions in the body. Because imagine if you were sitting here and you're going, okay, heartbeat, please, at 60 beats a minute. Lungs do this, liver do this, kidneys do this, digestion do this. I think we might have a doctor here. It's completely impossible, right? If we're sitting there telling all the different parts of the body how to function, there's no way we can have the focus. So this takes over and it automatically does that, which is amazing, right? But what it does, and it operates in these 2 modes, okay? So it was designed thousands of years ago by our ancestors who were living, in the jungle and so on. Our lives have changed a lot, but the ANS has not really changed. So we still have these caveman ANSs, which are designed to be in 2 states, okay? Which is going to be either relax and enjoy or flight and fight. So a lot of people experience sexual energy and go into flight or fight, and that's why you have this tension, adrenalized, release-based sex. Okay, it's not likely to last very long. Women may not have much orgasms. Your body is not going to be prioritizing lasting long in bed or having, a lot of orgasms or whatever, if your body is somehow in this ancient caveman mode where it thinks you're being chased by a bear or whatever, so a state of stress keeps us disconnected from the energy field and means that we can't access it. So we really need to be in relax and enjoy state to be able to get into the energy field. And it also plays havoc with the emotions. So the fact we're not being taught to deal with our emotions, we're repressing a lot of these emotions. It puts a lot of pressure on body and soul. And when we're in this sympathetic mode, so the sympathetic mode is flight or fight, the sexuality doesn't work properly. What is flight or fight? It's adrenalized sex. How can we expect when the body thinks that we're in imminent danger that we're going to be able to sexually function properly? And it's no surprise because for hundreds of years, I'm going to say for hundreds of years, people have been told if you have sex, you're going to go to hell, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Well, it's not surprised people feel arousal and go into flight or fight. Many men I speak to, they're genuinely afraid of their sexual energy and that it might take over and control them and get them to do something bad. But that's not the nature of sexual energy. That's what happens when the sexual energy is repressed and they've not been shown or learned how to use it. So I hope that made sense about the autonomic nervous system. And let's actually have a little look about how do we hack our ANS? How do we hack the autonomic nervous system? Because breathing is key to all of this. Okay, it's like the number 1 step is how do you breathe? And there's so many different kinds of breathing exercises that Western people are doing, but most of them are not even good for Western people because most Western people actually have not mastered basic breathing. So essentially, right, I'm sure everybody here knows where the lungs are. Okay, hopefully the lungs are in the chest. Over the lungs are the ribs. You can go down here and you can kind of feel these little lumps, which are your ribs. And in between your ribs are these little gaps, which are full of muscles called intercostal muscles. So I invite you to just actually put your fingers in there, just have a little feel of these intercostal muscles. And how does it feel when you put your fingers down these little grooves? And it can be painful for some people actually. Okay, so the one of these mechanisms we can take control of is the breathing, and we can use the breathing to take control of the ANS. And let's look at it like this. When we're in flight or fight, what's happened is everything shuts down in the body except the heart and the lungs so that we get this superhuman strength. The breathing increases, the heart rate increases, and basically the shoulders will start to rise because we start breathing with these muscles here, which are called the intercostal muscles. So it's like so that is flight or fight breathing. And if you're breathing like that, your body's going to be kind of stuck in flight or fight. Okay. Now, if you bring your hands down to the bottom of your rib cage, at the bottom of your rib cage, you can actually push in under your rib cage here. So you can stick the fingers kind of in there and push up. And if you put your fingers and push up and then push out and down, this is actually your thoracic diaphragm. So when we're in relax and enjoy, the natural state is that we breathe with the thoracic diaphragm. As the thoracic diaphragm goes down, the belly expands. And as we exhale and the thoracic diaphragm comes back up, the belly goes in. So essentially, this is the key to hacking the autonomic nervous system, which is actually by activating that diaphragm. And it's not just the thoracic diaphragm. There's 2 diaphragms around the pelvic floor. There's also a cervical diaphragm. I think there's a few more diaphragms, but those are the important ones. And through this breathing, we can start to learn to activate the diaphragms. So breathing is the gateway to opening up your energy system and to enter into a deep consciousness expanding experience with your body, energy, and soul. And ultimately, the way this works is that when we open the body enough by releasing these blockages, which are repressed emotions, also using movement, using breathing, we can then start to channel this sexual energy through the body where it transforms, transmutes, it goes into our cells. And it then starts to, first of all, rejuvenate the body at the cellular level, increase the levels of vitality, increase our ability to love, to be creative. And eventually it actually activates the pineal gland, the third eye, and really activates us up into higher consciousness, however that may authentically be expressed in who we are as unique individuals. So I'm just going to stop the share for a moment, and I want to check in with everyone. If it's all making sense, what I'm talking about. Anybody have any questions? Okay. By the way, when I say that, people are free to like unmute and actually ask questions as well, just so you know. So let's go on to, I'm going to call this emotional wealth. So emotions are movements of energy up, down, forward, and to the center. And negative and positive need to be balanced as energies in your body. We don't want to just be positive. We want to have positive and negative. And just to give an example of this, I'm sure you've all felt angry and felt that anger feeling welling up. And I'm sure you've all felt sadness and depression and this dropping down feeling. And we need those 2 energies, for example, to be balanced and to balance each other. Because if anger is really, really depressed, people get afraid and they get sad and depressed because there's this, everything's just dropping down and everything's just like, and the energy is just like, you know, and you can actually get like prolapses and physical health problems related to this. So yeah, like I have a specific breathing exercise I teach people like when I first start working them. So that was like, what was the specific breathing practice? I have a specific practice I teach people, which basically allows them to like start hacking into hacking into the body. It's like the first step to hacking into the body is you actually use your breath, and you start using your breath to control your autonomic nervous system. So the most effective way to do this is to actually hack into the energies and keep them balanced as a daily practice. So we started doing that a little bit yesterday. And emotions exist both in the organs and the sexual organs. The first emotions that we need to work with is in the body and the internal organs, because remember how we learned yesterday that we have these 3 transformation centers, but each organ is a transformation center. The sexual organs are massive transformation centers. I mean, for example, the vagina is literally like the pathway into the divine. It's where human life is birthed from, it comes from. I mean, it's got these amazing, incredible properties when women actually learn to activate their vaginas, that can then be used to basically balance male energy. And as we know, like, male energy is a volatile energy, and this is because, you know, for example, if you look back at the ancestors, men were, you know, every human can be a killer, right? Yeah, but men needed to be a killer. They needed to kill the animals to eat. They needed to sometimes kill other people to protect. You know, there's this nature of the killer in the man. And like, in terms of like the priestess practices that I teach to women, you know, like, if you imagine back in the day, the man would come back to the tribe. Maybe he's been hunting, maybe he's been fighting, he's in this adrenalized state, he's in this flight or fight state. You know, I'm not, on the one hand, I'm not condoning domestic violence, but on the other hand, you can't 100% blame him for being in that state. And that's why women have been gifted the divine gift to actually use sexual energy and spiritual practices together to take the man out of flight or fight and bring him into the relax and enjoy state, which literally makes him safe to be in the society and around the children and so on. And sorry, I know this is slightly controversial. I hope I'm not offending anyone, but there's a big problem now. Obviously, people talk a lot about the problem of men being toxic and so on, but we as women have lost our power. We've not been in our power, and we're scared of our power. We have so much more power than we give ourselves credit for. And when we start learning how we can actually influence and affect a man's energy, it's incredible what we can do for them. Absolutely incredible. And we are actually, you know, I don't like to use the word like we are the higher beings, but I'll say it like this. The man is given the control in the physical domain. You know, the man has the superior physical strength. Even if a woman's doing a lot of fighting, she's practically got to be a professional fighter. She might even still be getting beaten by a man that isn't necessarily that professional, you know. And it's things like, and I don't know if any women here can attest to this, you know, even I, like, personally, you know, like I have my own business, my own income, and I'm quite independent. Yeah, I like my partner, just even in simple ways, just saying, Jade, sit here, Jade, do this, Jade, let's go here. I like that because I notice how it balances out my energy. And at the same time, we as women, we have this special connection through our vaginas and through our wombs into the spiritual dimension. And there's a lot here that we can give men. And I'm curious, if you really disagree with me, you're offended, I'd rather you told me than not. But we as women, we have this incredible connection into the spiritual realms, and we are the oracles that have the ability to pull this energy down and give this energy to the man and give them incredible healing, just as they have this, in a sense, this gift to protect us and keep us safe in the physical dimension. So yeah, sexual reflexology is the second step that you can use with yourself and a partner as deep layers of healing with pleasure. And I'm going to just talk about that like in a moment. But it's really, really interesting. And one more thing that I'm going to add here is, it really annoys me when someone says a woman should be like this. If a woman earns money, she's too masculine. If a man does blah, 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 he's too feminine. I think most of this is like a complete load of absolute rubbish, because everyone contains masculine and feminine, you know, but the people generally with a female body will be more tuned into that female energy. And generally, the people with the masculine body will be more tuned into the masculine energy, but we'll have both, and learning to have both and use both is an incredible, amazing skill that we can basically use to just make our lives really amazing and incredible. So basically, working with these emotions, clearing out the blocked emotions, is super important. And here I've got like my genital reflexology diagram. Oh, if anyone, especially if you're watching on a mobile device, feel free to screenshot this, and if you don't mind, stick on your Instagram and just tag me in if you're enjoying this event, you know. And you probably already have the genital reflexology worksheet. Again, if you don't have these things, reach out to me and ask me. Yeah, reach out to me and ask me, and I will I will supply it to you. So let's look at movement, because movement is actually really, really important. And I want to suggest here, why don't we all just kind of like move a little bit? You can even like stand up and move, just move your body a bit. So I'm going to just stand up here. I'm going to move a bit. Let's see. The camera does not like me standing up. Okay, I'm going to sit there. But I want to invite you to stand up and move. And let's just move the shoulders, move the body, move the pelvis. So tension and stiffness block energy in people who seem strong may not actually be. Like a lot of bodybuilders, for example, are not actually like that strong, and their bodies are not often very healthy. So the tendons are a really important part of this as well. And in Qigong, we actually work on the tendons, the strength of the tendons as opposed to the muscles. And if your spine is blocked, you're also going to be blocked. And Qigong is designed to strengthen your whole body and open the flow. So just some very simple, basic Qigong practices are a really important part of this as well. Let's see if I can stop the share. No. Oh yeah. Okay. Did anybody manage to do a bit of moving? Yeah, it's really common. We get these cracks. It's coming often from the tendons. There's actually an exercise where you can open the front by just coming down like this and then stretching up and back. So you come forward. It's like you dive down and then you come up. It's called turtleneck breathing. So what we're doing is we're diving down and then we're coming up and feeling the front stretching. And then we can do the same with the back. And what we're going to do is we're going to say stay straight, come down the front like this, and then push back. And just feeling your whole spine opening. And then just, so 9 of each of these is a good amount. And then just come up into a sitting position. Just moving a little bit more. I love the whole like rocking on the sitting bones as well. It's really good for the energy in the whole body. So if you kind of feel your hips moving side to side. Oh, in fact, I have this exercise I love. Yeah, let's try this. So if you're sitting and put your feet shoulder width apart on the floor, let's start to move side by side from the shoulders. So you're kind of doing this wiggle coming from your shoulders. It's kind of going down your whole body, but really feel it's like coming from your shoulders and make the movement happen from your shoulders. And then let's move down to the thoracic diaphragm and start to move side to side to side in the thoracic diaphragm. So that's just here, bottom of the rib cage, and we're now making the movements happen from here. And then coming down to the pelvis and start to move side to side to side from the hips. And I want you to just invite you to shut your eyes and really be conscious about how it feels in your body to be having this kind of a movement. And then finally bringing your attention down to your sitting bones, where your bum is just touching the seat, and just now making this movement happening from your sitting bone. Keeping your eyes shut and breathing in and out. I want you to now connect with your coccyx and become aware that coming out of your coccyx, you have an enormous energetic tail which travels down through the building into the earth, down through the bedrock. And as you're gently rocking from side to side, you can get the feeling and connect with the way that the energetic tail is connecting right down into the center of Mother Earth and connecting into the molten core at the center of the earth. So really feeling the connection to this tail as you're doing this wiggling. And then just come into stillness. So stop moving, relax, and inhale. And as you inhale, I invite you to allow the energy from Mother Earth to come up your tail and up your spine and into your butt. So you can just open your eyes again now, and just if you want to just move a little bit more, that you're more than welcome to do that. And I'm really curious, how was this exercise for people? Would anybody like to share anything about how it felt? You can either unmute and speak, or
Yeah, it felt really good to embrace the movement and feel the energy in the body.
have you done anything similar before?
Well, I work out every day. I walk every day, so I'm in constant movement. Like today, I do a variety of workouts. I do something different every day because my gym membership offers it. So I'm in like constant movement. I do breath work in the morning. So I think I create like this synergy naturally. And I walk to the gym, I walk home, I'm even moving before I get into my workout. So I can understand how movement and energy is really integrated. And it just movement in general is a part of my daily lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, workout can be quite disembodying, but when we bring conscious awareness into it, it's really different, and then it's very embodying. And it's like with anything, it's not like sex, people say, is it bad? Is it good? But it's just the fact is, uh, Yeah, yeah. It's all about what we do with it. It's like I said about the food, you can have a organic farmer's market nutritious meal, or you can have a junk food. So yeah, yeah. Yeah, someone's saying here they're feeling like they're not in they realize how much they're not in their body because it felt uncoordinated and awkward. And it took me some time to get used to these certain exercises, and especially like in Taoism with certain exercises, we actually isolate off certain parts of the body and move certain muscles, like in ways, like even for example, in women, we can isolate like different parts of the vagina and actually work with the different muscles in the different parts of the vagina. The same with even like there's different muscles around the anus, and the pelvic floor is made up of a lot of different muscles. And when we can learn to isolate different parts of the body, move different muscles, which most people kind of don't see the intricacies of it. So it's amazing you've got that awareness of what you're saying there, because that's like the first step when we realize that we've got this uncoordination and so on going on. That's so it would have taken you out of the sympathetic, because the sympathetic is the flight or fight, right? And the parasympathetic is the relax and enjoy that we want to be in. And when our whole bodies are full of all these like blocked up emotions, of course, like we're going to be feeling in a state of stress and flight or fight, because no need to apologize at all. It took me a long time to figure out which was sympathetic and parasympathetic, right, myself, and remember to use the right term. But I guess by the sympathetic, it means it's having sympathy for the fact that there's a dangerous situation around, which is how I found it easy to yeah. Okay, so I have a little bit more. I have a little bit more PowerPoint, but I just want to check, have I said anything that anybody wants to know more about? I'm going to bring in an exercise soon. But I'm just curious, is there anything that's leaving anybody with a big question mark, with a lot of curiosity? Tell me what's happening. Feel free to either speak or to type in the chat. Are we cool for now? Okay. So I just want to let all the guys here know that there's a masterclass going on Monday at the same time, 7 p.m. in the UK. For guys, it's just for men, and we're going to be talking about like how to step into your masculine power. So if any of you guys are interested and you have not signed up to that yet, it is by invite only, but just you can just message me and get in touch, and I will send you the invite. And I'm just curious, are the ladies here interested in a similar? I think all the women here
Yes.
are in my group, so I think I'm going to do a similar workshop for women, maybe the following week. So, okay, let's get back to my infamous PowerPoint. So we just looked at movement. Okay, energy activation. And I'm sure that everybody has talked about, learned about energy activation. And there's like so much you can read and so much content about Kundalini activation. People are talking about having these Kundalini activations and taking years to basically be able to integrate the energy. So like not really being able to function properly for a bunch of years because of Kundalini awakenings, right? Okay. In Taoism, we're very pragmatic and we want to be functioning well in the real world. So what we learn to do is to separate the different energies and just to gently activate them step by step. So it's not going to be in a way that's overwhelming for the body system. And we just bring them up, we bring them down, we can get all the beautiful full body multiple orgasms, but we don't get the side effects you can get from messing around with Kundalini, which can literally like stop you from being able to think. It can turn your hair gray in like a matter of weeks. It can just completely unground you, mess up your whole relationship with the real world. It can cause like ringing in the ears, headaches, dizziness, you know, and like literally psychotic symptoms. And a lot of people think, oh, this is kind of inevitable if you want to have an awakening. And I'm not saying awakening doesn't involve moments of, but it's not necessary, you know, to activate your energy. And it's like the first step of activating the energy, really the first step is the breathing, then it's hacking the energy field, then it is learning, you know, hacking the energy field and clearing it out in the body, then it's clearing it in the sexual energy, and it's circulating that energy around your body. And once you've opened the meridians up, you're going to be fine, and you're going to start getting those energy experiences. So activating your alchemical system with sexual energy has benefits that reach into every part of your life. The first benefit is a healing on a deep cellular level that reverses aging, as well as optimizing your body. Increase of energy levels and focus, as well as better time management. Access to deeper levels of soul-aligned abundance. Creative inspiration. Activation of inner vision. An opening of your consciousness. And I know I asked people at the beginning, do you understand? Does it make sense? I don't want to be asking you just to say yes for the sake of it. Does it make sense what I'm talking about here? I'm really curious, what do people think about these assertions I've made? Because a lot of people might even find them a little bit like shocking, that I'm saying, you know, sexual energy can do all this stuff, you know. How do I even know? And I mean, one of the things is this has been written down in different cultures for thousands of years. But another thing is I experienced it with myself. Another thing is that I found, like, through teaching these Taoist step by step practices, that the same result can be repeated with my clients. And to me, this is what science is, that you can do. I think we have at least one scientist here. If you can repeat the same actions and get the same results, this is what's said to be scientific, right? So yeah, okay, yeah, I'm curious. There was somebody here, I don't want to call people's names out and make people feel put on the spot. I would feel that's a little bit disrespectful, but I'm just curious if anybody here that said at the beginning it didn't make sense is now feeling like it's making a bit more sense. So okay, I think the PowerPoint is almost finished now. Let's see, where are we going next? What's the next slide? Meridian flow. Yeah, so it's really essential to open the meridians in your body. So the main one goes up the spine, it's called the Dumai, and then down the front is called the Renmai. There's also one right up the center of the body that's called the Chongmai. These are all meridians used in acupuncture. So it is essential to open the meridians in your body. And you can use the same skills of cultivation and transformation to move the energy through your body. You first start with Qi to open the meridians around the body, boost immunity, and increase energy levels. Then you can start to move unaroused Jing through your body to feed to your organs and glands and to renew them at the cellular level. Later, aroused Jing can be moved about your system too. The final step is to move orgasms, and then you get your full body orgasms and orgasms anywhere that you want. And there was something I was going to put in a slide about it, but I didn't. I mean, I suppose I could talk about this in regards to the genital reflexology. But when one really, really connects with one's own sexual organs, one can start to tune into the fact that, you know, different parts of the vagina or different parts of the penis actually can feel really, really different. And some of these feelings are normal, and some of the feelings are blocked energy as well. So yeah, the clearing of this blocked energy is actually really major, really important. So let's look at like what I'm going to call like orgasmic upgrade. So it's actually using orgasmic energy to upgrade the body. So orgasmic energy is the most powerful life force energy that you have. It is also a highly volatile energy like petrol. Hence the warning I gave at the beginning. So, you know, you can buy a can of petrol, which I had to do the other day because I had a toothache. I didn't put petrol in my car and I ran out of petrol right outside my house. Thank goodness, right? So I had to go get the can, bring it back, you know. And I suppose, you know, I could take that can of petrol, I could pour it on top of my car and I could set my car on fire. Or I could put the petrol in the tank and I could drive my car. And it's not the petrol's fault what I do with it, right? And this is what sexual energy is. It's actually, we say, like, it's a powerful neutral energy. But what we do with it is what counts. And like they say, you know, if you have, for example, a neighbor that maybe you don't like, but you're best off like making friends with the neighbor as opposed to being enemies, you know, and the sexual energy in your body there, you know, even though some people try to repress it and wish it wasn't there, if you make best friends with it, you're going to find it's really serving you. So the Taoist system is the most intricate and effective way to work with this energy. And before working with this energy, you need to practice and work with less volatile forms of the energy. You need to learn to cultivate, move, transform, transmute, refine, and store energy. And the process is also important because you need to clean out the blockages inside your body so that the sexual energy can flow. And sexual energy is an amplifier, like I've said in both classes. It will amplify what is already there inside of you. Yeah, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about sexual healing. Okay, because this is really fascinating how this works. So sexual healing starts with the most basic level of feeding the energy of love. So we're actually going to do a practice soon where we're going to feed the love in our heart with our sexual energy. It's really powerful. So this starts with self-love, because when we think of love, all love starts with self-love. And when we've got an abundance of self-love, it will effortlessly shower down onto other people. If we try to give the self-love without actually, try to give the love without enough self-love, it's gonna not be a positive, experience for the person we're actually trying to give to. So quite literally, when our bodies begin to unblock, the meridian of the Chong Mai that feeds the body with sexual energy starts to deliver this energy to our hearts. We all know the huge healing effects of feeling love, sensuality, vulnerability, and connection, but there is more to it than just that. When the sexual energy reaches our hearts, it starts to transform into a third kind of energy, which is a violet energy that then starts to vibrate and resonate with the violet light in the universe. So we're going to be doing this together really soon. As this energy starts to grow, it then starts to spread through our body and into our cells, and it begins to vibrate our cells and turn them back to their original programming, which can actually literally mean healing cancerous cells and damaged cells. And it also actually starts to rejuvenate the body and reverse aging. So then let's then look at like deeper layers of sexual healing, because it actually exists on a lot of different layers. So sexual healing amplifies, and it will amplify your traumas and your pain. And this can cause chaos in your life, even physical health problems, because it can amplify your blockages. So when people start amplifying their sexual energy, but they have not worked on their blockages, it can cause like nasty stuff to happen. I mean, it happened to me that I started activating the energy of my partner some years ago when I was first getting into this stuff. He started having these crazy rages, which I was talking to one of the other Taoist teachers, and she was going, oh yeah, the same thing happened to her. And basically what actually happens is that there's very, very commonly this block right under the heart, especially in men. So the sexual energy was bouncing up, hitting the block and bouncing down into his liver and causing these angry outbursts. I mean, that was a bit of a shocking experience for me, but it can come out in all kinds of crazy ways, also physical health problems, emotional, mental health problems. If you start doing these powerful exercises to amplify your sexual energy without doing the underlying work first. So it also can be healing because it brings up your blockages and traumas to be healed. which you can do quickly and effectively if you've learned to work with the energy already. So I do believe that when we're working on this certain layer of the energy field with sexual energy, we should also be working on that certain layer of the the energy field with emotional energy. I think that if you work on one layer with the sexual energy and another layer with the emotional energy, it's not so effective. So the deepest levels of these blockages live within our sexual organs. And this is what genital reflexology is all about. Once that you have the skills to work with these energies within your body, you can learn to also work with these energies as they are present in your sexual organs for the deepest clearings that you can do. And this level of clearing works once the external is cleared enough to allow the deepest traumas and the deepest blockages to release. So let's have a look at Taoist sexual practices. Through Taoist practices, you can start to recycle unused hormones that can even cause illness and use these to rejuvenate your body at the cellular level. So that's with self-massage. This balances your hormonal system, eliminating menstrual problems and optimizing the experience of sexual pleasure. So wave goodbye to your lube as your pussy naturally flows with wetness, as your energetic flow is optimized. And people talk about all these different, problems women can get, problems men can get. Is made so complicated, but ultimately when the energy isn't flowing, we get these sexual problems, and the sexual problems are a sign that the energy is not flowing. So yeah, say adios to concerns about performance issues as you get the hard cock of your youth back and eliminate sexual frustration at the same time, and the unwanted urges go, so that you're able to connect with the pleasure you deeply desire. Because if you're scared of your sexual energy or uncomfortable with your urges or feeling sexual frustration, it's going to block you from connecting really fully with the sexual energy. And then it turns into this chicken egg type scenario where the two are just feeding each other, and the blockage is making the situation worse and worse, so through moving energy, you can start to have any type of orgasm and want in any part of your body. And pleasure becomes your tool to heal and to grow. So the more that you open up the meridians, the main one being like up the spine and down the front, the more you're able to learn to move the different types of energy through your body until you work up to be able to move the orgasmic energy through your body. And yeah, let's have a look orgasmic healing as well. So in Tao practices, we move sexual energy from the sexual organs like the ovaries and the testicles into the rest of your body. So this is via massage and intention and meditation. So sexual energy can be worked with in the form of hormones, aroused energy, orgasmic energy, unaroused energy as well. So it's essential to start by working with the least volatile energy and then work up the scales. Once that you develop these skills to move these energies, you can safely move orgasms up the center of your spine and into your brain and internal organs. And it actually becomes really easy. You can just sit there and just do it just like that, and you just feel this shuddering vibration of energy that you can move up your body. So this is best done by developing and honing your skills to work with your intention. And once you can do this, there's very little you cannot humanly achieve. So healing with a partner, and I'm just going to say, like, the Tao practice is like the whole fundamentals of it is your personal self-practice. It's like 2/3 at least, if not 3/4 of this. 3/4 of this is about working with yourself. Once you've worked with yourself and you've activated your own body, you're then able to work with a partner and activate them. But when you start to do this dual cultivation and dual healing together, it's amazing what you can do. So you go from this friction-based backwards and forwards sex where you're trying to get more stimulation through harder and faster, and you'll go into a very, very gentle, still state of sex where you might just not even move together and experiencing sexual pleasure. So the rubbing of genitals to feel pleasure with friction is inevitably going to be unsatisfying, and also you're not going to really be alchemizing and transforming energy. So this is why most relationships are ending up sexless. People are getting sexually bored with each other. But once you can harness energy, you will begin to make love as a conscious act of healing and activation. So you might be making love and not moving, which for a lot of people would be really tough, but you're actually channeling the energy between the two of you. So it just becomes more and more pleasurable. So your bodies both become alchemical chambers, and you can use love making to heal, manifest, create, and grow together. And this is alchemy, not chemistry. So we're used to thinking sex is all about chemistry. But when you take it onto that deeper level of alchemy, that is when you're not going to be chasing pleasure. Pleasure is going to be coming to you, and you're going to be having these mind-blowing, consciousness expanding experiences. So yeah, I'm just curious if what I said before about the spiritual aspect of sexual energy, if this is now making sense. So okay, we don't need to worry about the key points right now, but what I'd like to do is invite, do we want to try like an energy practice? So I wouldn't teach you something here that you couldn't do as a beginner, by the way. And I'm going to teach you something, and it's safe as far as I'm aware for a beginner to do. But if you feel the energy is overwhelming, I invite you just to stop and to breathe. So one person said yes. Is everybody else wanting to try this energy practice? Okay. So the basics of these practices. So yesterday we cultivated energy, and we did a bit of transforming and transmuting energy. We're using just the same principles, just taking it a little bit further. So just find yourself in a comfortable place. You can put your yeah, no worries if you either don't want to join in this or you need to go somewhere, no worries. Ladies, gents, I want to do next Monday. I want to do this. I am doing a masterclass for men. I want to invite all you guys to come and join. We'll just be going a little bit more into what men can do, and I'll organize. Well, I'll just check in the group if there's interest for the one for women, and if so, I'm going to do one probably the following week. There's going to be for women. So just find yourself in a comfortable position and just shut your eyes. This is going to be a little different from exercises that you've probably done before with me, if you've done exercises with me. And sending your love and attention into your heart. Let's smile into our hearts and connect with the feelings of love, joy, and happiness in your heart. And as you connect with that feeling, smile and send love, more love into your heart. Smile as if you are smiling and connecting with an old, long lost friend, and you're getting that beautiful feeling of connection and love. You're feeling this red energy, and you're feeling the red energy growing within your being. And as you smile more into your heart, really get this feeling of love, this red loving energy. You can always imagine that you're blowing into a fire, into the embers of a fire, and getting that fire to grow. And you're allowing that red loving energy to spread out into your shoulders and chest and thorax. And then you're coming back into your heart, smiling into your heart, and creating this pool of red energy inside of your heart. And we're going to create this ball of red loving energy in our hearts. And now we are going to move our attention down to what we call the sexual center, which is just above your pubic bone at the bottom of your belly, where the womb is on the woman. And we're going to smile into the sexual center as we feel the energy in the sexual center is starting to grow. And you can notice this is a blue energy, which is like the energy of the element of water. And you can feel that this energy is growing and increasing in your sexual center. And you can allow this blue energy, which is actually the feminine energy, to spread out through your pelvis, through your sexual organs, your kidneys, your adrenal glands, your bladder. And then you can bring your attention back into your sexual center and smile into your sexual center. As you feel that the energy in the sexual center is forming into this blue ball of energy. And now we're going to start to move this blue ball of energy. And we're going to move it by just imagining what we're doing. So I invite you to visualize that you're now moving this blue ball of energy down the front of your body, over your pubic bone, over your sexual organs, and back to your perineum, past your anus, and into the tip of your coccyx. And you can then allow the energy to travel up into your sacrum, up your spine through your five lumbar vertebrae, up through the rib cage, through the 12 thoracic vertebrae, up through the cervical vertebra in the neck, up into the head, into the brain. And then let's just release this ball of blue energy out of the top of our head. And let's just allow this ball of blue energy to float above our head, about a foot above our head. And then let's go back to that red ball of energy we have left in our heart. And let us allow that red ball of energy to rise up through the sternum, through the neck, the face, into the brain. And then let us release this red ball of fiery energy up above the head to combine with the blue watery energy. And let's now allow those energies to start to spin together. And we can notice that they're becoming like the yin yang symbol, a yin yang of fire and water that are spinning together. And now, looking deep into the center of this bowl, you will see a garden. And the garden is full of the most beautiful trees and flowers, it's full of birds, it's full of plants, full of reptiles. It's the most peaceful, incredible, beautiful place you've ever seen. And as you're looking into that garden, you now see two people walking towards you who's a couple. And they are a god and a goddess. And you can see the goddess and God walking further towards you. And you notice they're the most perfect human beings that you've ever seen in your life. And you can see them gazing into each other's eyes with a perfect love and affection. And you can see them touching each other, smiling at each other. You can feel the magnetism of the powerful connection that they have together. And then you can notice them embracing, coming closer, and starting to kiss. And then see them moving further together. And you can feel the love emanating from their body like a red energy, which is spreading all around them. And then as they start to make love, you can see the blue energy emanating from them, combining with the red energy, creating this purple mist around them, which starts to spread through that ball of energy above your head. And you can see this ball of energy has now become completely purple. And you can see them continuing to make love. You can see the sexual fluids beginning to overflow. And now their sexual fluids are dripping down onto your brain, into your head. And you can feel the purple color is starting to fill your brain. This purple mist. And now as you start to look into your brain, you start to see another beautiful, incredible garden, a forest with enormous trees. You can see snakes, you can see large cats, many wild animals, all together in peace and harmony. And continuing to look again into this bowl of purple energy that contains this garden. You can see another couple again walking towards you. Another absolutely stunning, beautiful, gorgeous, natural couple who are gazing into each other's eyes with perfect love and affection, smiling to each other, and you are feeling the red energy of their love is spreading and surrounding around them. And as they begin to make love together, you can feel that the blue orgasmic energy is starting to spread out from their bodies and creating this purple mist in your brain all around them. And as the sexual fluids start to overflow, you can feel that now their sexual fluids are dripping down your throat, into your chest, and into your heart. And you can feel that the purple mist is now starting to fill your heart. And you can feel this ball of purple mist around your heart. And again, as you're looking into your heart, you will find another garden, which is full of vines, it's full of cactuses, it's full of mammals, animals you've never even seen before, birds with bright colors, reptiles. And you can see everything is in perfect harmony and perfect peace with each other. And walking through your garden, you will start to see a couple walking towards you, a god and goddess, who are the most perfect beings you've ever seen in your life. And not only are they physically perfect, but you can see them looking into each other's eyes and smiling with perfect love and connection and acceptance. You can feel the haze of the red energy of their love around them. And then you can see them starting to make love. And you can feel that the blue orgasmic energy is radiating around their bodies. You can feel the blue and the red coming together to surround them with the purple energy, all in your heart. And as these energies then start to overflow, you can see the sexual fluids overflowing down into your abdomen. Now taking this purple energy down into your belly, into your pelvis. You can feel it traveling down your legs and into your feet. And you can feel your feet on the ground below you, connecting into the energy of Mother Earth. You can allow this purple energy to spread through your whole being, through your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your fingers, your toes, your neck. And just allow your body to move in such a way as your body wants to move. So you can feel this energy is spreading through your whole being. You can wiggle your fingers and toes, and when you're ready, just coming and opening your eyes, coming back into the space. So I'm really curious to hear how this was for people. Hey James, did you send me a message on WhatsApp? Because I can, or Facebook Messenger if we've connected there, or Instagram. Send me a message and I'm going to send you that link because I don't have it with me right now. And okay, amazing. I'm going to get back to you over the weekend, but do forgive me, guys, because I'm moving house, it's tough. But yeah. So this is an amazing exercise I learned from Mantek Chia. He actually said, this is the original first porno movie, which I found quite funny. So I'd love to invite people. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the stream into Facebook. I'm going to stop recording.